Hey, Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ. Bless Captain Matt here with IUIC Baton Rouge. Another 15 minutes with the captains. All right, all praise to the Most High. Today we're going to talk about mirror effect. They move how you move. We are the example. Mother Shamara often says that sometimes you are the only Bible that somebody will read. So we have to ensure that we are being the right example for our people out there who are seeing how we're walking as Israelites. Because they got a lot of people that have a lot of different thought processes about who we are, what we do, what we believe in, how we act. That's why they say all of the time when we on Clubhouse and when we online teaching, they say, oh, they welfare recipients. They all got felonies. Look at all the people that got child support. Look at all the people that have nothing to do with their lives. Get a job. Y'all broke. All that stuff. That's why when we walk, we got to walk rightly. You understand? So let's start off real quick. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12.
1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12. Let no man despise thy youth.
So we're not supposed to let anybody despise how young we may be. Because some of us, we are in the truth young. It is what it is. But we're supposed to be that right example as young men. Go ahead.
Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers.
Be thou an example of the believers. So no matter what your age, no matter what your background, you have to be an example to the believers. That's our job, to be an example to the believers. You understand? Finish that out.
In word.
In word.
In conversation.
In conversation. Don't let your conversation be the same thing as people in the world. Don't let your conversation be about just football, basketball, and a bunch of women, because that's a lot of things that our people talk about. That's really the basis of what our people talk about. When you can't have a conversation about sports with us, you can't talk about different women with us, the room really get quiet because they have nothing else to talk about. When we start talking about real life issues, they get uncomfortable. But we're supposed to be an example in conversation, an example in word. Read.
In charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity.
We're supposed to be an example in all of those things. You understand? All of those things we're supposed to be an example of. Let's go to Philippians chapter 3, verse 17. Philippians chapter 3, verse 17.
Philippians chapter 3, verse 17. Brethren, be followers together of me.
Be followers together of me. That's what Paul is saying. We have to say, be followers together of us. Read.
And mark them which walk so as ye have us for an example.
Mark them that walk just like how we walk. Mark them that walk as the right example. Why should you mark them? So that you can follow them. Somebody got to set the example, and somebody's going to follow. There's always an example set, whether it be good or whether it be bad. There's always an example set. You understand? Go to James 5 and 10. There's always an example to be set. Every time we walk out the door, every time we go to the store, every time we teach, every time we go anywhere, there's an example set. Whether how we dress, how we talk, how we walk, our conversation, all of that stuff, people listen to and people watch for. That's why we have to be an example to them. Go ahead.
James chapter 5, verse 10. Take, my brethren, the prophets, who have spoken in the name of the Lord, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience.
Because when you look, that's why the scriptures say that which was written before time was written for our learning. Because when we look at, all right, I may be going through it in my marriage. Okay, Abraham went through it in his marriage. Elkanah went through it in his marriage. They got a bunch of people that went through it in their marriage. Jacob went through it in his marriage. There's always lessons and understanding that we can pull out of the scriptures to show, damn, our forefathers went through the same thing I'm going through right now. That should give us comfort. Read.
Behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard of the patience of Job, and have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy.
They said you saw the patience of Job. We're supposed to look at what Job went through and learn from it and understand, well, man, maybe my situation ain't all that bad. Look at what Job had to go through. We just have to believe. A lot of times we look at the Bible like it's a fairy tale book. It's not. It's real live stories, real live accounts of our people, our forefathers, our ancestors, and how they got through their trials and their tribulations. Go to Proverbs 22:6. Whether it be good or whether it be bad, somebody is going to follow the example that you set.
Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Why? Because a child is going to follow you, whether you're actually doing the right thing or whether you're doing the wrong thing. Bring up that definition. This is called vicarious modeling. Read that.
Vicarious modeling, also known as vicarious learning, is a learning method that involves observing and imitating the behaviors of others. It's a type of observational learning that can take place in educational or workplace settings.
You can learn vicariously, whether in education, whether at your job, whether the people that you're around. That's why a lot of our people, they talk a certain way. They learned that vicariously. A lot of our women got vicarious trauma. They never had anything happen to them really. But because they heard it, they often imitate their behaviors. Just like when we talk about women that kill their babies, they unalive their babies. They say, oh, well, what if a woman gets raped? They always use that example. Always. But that's not a primary reason for why they do that. Then when you say the man is the head of the household, the woman got to be subject unto the man. She got to submit to the man. They automatically think about domestic abuse. Why? Vicarious learning. When you have movies that show the man beating a woman, when you have people that constantly tell stories about, well, back in the day, the man used to beat the woman. She was barefoot and pregnant. They learn that vicariously, then they internalize it and they make it real to themselves. That's why we have to be a right example to our people. Go to Ezekiel 16:44. One of the scriptures actually tells us that a young woman will follow in the footsteps of her mother. Let's read that.
Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 44. Behold, everyone that useth proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter.
If you use a proverb against somebody, that's going into a negative connotation. It said, as is the mother, so is the daughter. Wives raise up other wives. Single mothers raise up other single mothers. You ever heard the phrase, hurt people hurt people? Because that's what they do. They imitate the hurt behavior. So a lot of women grow up by a broken woman. They grow up broken. A lot of men grow up by a broken woman. They grow up broken. That's why it's important for us to have marriages. That's why it's important for us to have a right example of who to follow and who not to follow. Because the child is going to follow somebody, whether it be good or whether it be bad. Go to Sirach chapter 30. Yeah, start at 1.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 30, verse 1. He that loveth his son causeth him off to feel the rod.
When you love your child, you discipline your child. Why? Because the scriptures say foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. So a lot of times you need that correction. You understand? But through vicarious learning, a lot of even our people now see disciplining a child as abuse. as something that you're doing that, oh, that's too far. No, don't put your hands on my baby. No. The scriptures say, spare the rod, spoil the child. You're not supposed to do that. Discipline is supposed to happen in a child's life. That's why the mothers often take the children away, especially the sons, take the children away from their fathers, and then when they get too bad to handle, they try to send them back to their daddy. Oh, he too much for me. You take him now. What you mean? We tried to discipline him early on. You said that was too much. You got to set the right example from the jump. Read on.
That he may have joy of him in the end.
Read.
He that chasteneth his son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance.
When you chastise your son, you're going to have joy in him. Why? Because he's going to learn from your correction, adjust his behavior, and your friends going to be like, man, your children are really well behaved. You'd be like, all praise to the Most High. Yep. You know why they well behaved. They know why they well behaved. Because you ain't playing that. Read.
Verse 3. He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
He that teacheth his son. When your son vicariously learns from you, that grieves the enemy. Why? Read on.
And before his friends he shall rejoice of him.
Uh-huh.
Though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead. For he had left one behind him that is like himself.
So if you were a prophet of God and you was causing hell, you was prophesying the death and destruction of this country, the death and destruction of all the wicked, you was bringing out prophecies, you was hitting the streets, and your son turned right around and do the same thing you're doing, that's going to grieve the enemy. The enemy is going to hate that, like, nah, bro, we got to do something about this. We can't continually have him do it. His father just did it. And now he's following behind his father's footsteps. Why? That grieves the enemy because your son learned from you. And guess what? It'll grieve the enemy when your daughters learn from you as well. Oh, she's not walking around in tight pants and revealing clothes. She's actually covering her body up. She's still a virgin. What the hell is going on? How the hell are we going to have Planned Parenthood and nobody having sex? How are we going to have an STD clinic and nobody's having sex? What's up with all of these families being started? These black families, I can't take it. Because we're teaching our children. They're learning vicariously through us. You understand? Go to Sirach 10 and 2. Sirach chapter 10, verse 2.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, verse 2.
Uh-huh.
As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers.
That's how, as a leader is, the people under you are going to be the same way. As a husband is, your wife is going to be the same way. So if you have issues and you say, oh, man, my wife is doing this. Oh, man, my wife is doing that. Okay. All right, that very well may be true. You know, you get some counsel on it. But after a while, you got to start to look at you. Not even after a while. Almost immediately, you got to start to look at you. Relationships are reflective. It's a mirror. You just don't like what you see in the mirror. She's going to be exactly how you are, whether you're righteous or whether you're wicked. Your children are going to be exactly how you are, whether you're righteous or whether you're wicked. Scriptures say that a man will be known in his children. Children are honest. You can't hide that. Go to Hebrews. No, not Hebrews. Go to Matthew 23. Show you a bad example. In verse 15.
Matthew chapter 23, verse 15.
Uh-huh.
Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye compare sea and land to make one proselyte.
One convert, meaning somebody that's just like you.
And when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves.
You make him worse than even you because you taught him a poor lesson. That's not how we're supposed to do. Everybody is going to learn from you. They're going to learn whether it be a good lesson or they're going to learn whether it be a bad lesson. Which lesson are you going to teach? Let's close it off. John chapter 13, verse 15.
John chapter 13, verse 15.
Uh-huh.
For I have given you an example, that ye should do as I have done to you.
Our example to follow is Christ. If you're not following the example of Christ, you're not doing the right thing. We have to go by what this Bible says. So don't get upset when we constantly go to the Bible for why we do things. When we constantly go to the Bible to explain what we're doing in the world, to explain why our women act a certain way, to explain why our men act a certain way. Be happy that we're trying to be Christ-like as best that we can. So that's 15 minutes with the captains. Like I said, the title of today's class was The Mirror Effect. They move how you move. If you move wrong, they're going to move wrong. If you move right, they're going to move right. All right? Remember that you are an example. Shalom.
What is a nation?
Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models.